That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Susie Searches, which is the directorial debut of Sophie Kargman, based on a 2020 short she did of the same title. It premiered at the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival. It is being released courtesy of Vertical Entertainment on July 28, 2023.
Directorial debut. Mm-hmm. I thought this movie was pretty good.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, the premise. An awkward college student who seizes the opportunity to bolster her popularity and her under-the-radar true crime podcast by solving the disappearance of a classmate. So my pull quote for this will be, considering the cast, I was expecting it to be more of a dark comedy. That being said, it's sufficiently intriguing to make it worth a watch. Mm-hmm. What's yours?
I thought that it was a pleasant, if sometimes slight, black comedy on a young woman's obsessive quest for appreciation.
So, Susie is a college student.
Played by Kiersey Clemons.
And she is pretty awkward. She's super into true crime, has a job at like a juice shop, and she has a podcast.
And she also works at the local sheriff's department.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And one day, a fellow student at the college she attends goes missing. A guy named Jesse, played by Wolff. Mm-hmm. And he's like famous. He has 7 million followers, I think, on YouTube. And he just goes missing. His family's rich. It's on the local news. And Susie decides that she's going to figure out what happened to him. Mm-hmm. So she has her requisite like board with all the things. And she determines that Jesse's uncle may be responsible, and she goes to one of his properties and finds Jesse like locked in a storage shed or something. So of course she's the hero. The end, you would think, but we see immediately that she's the one who kidnapped him. Okay, so Jesse's best friend, Ray,
played by Isaac Powell.
He has suspicions about Susie, and he confronts her about them, and she like accidentally kills him and then like covers up the murder. Like she sets it up so it looks like a suicide down by the river. Okay. But then she starts to panic, like, okay, I need to cover this up even better. So because she's super into true crime, she realizes that she needs to plant evidence at the scene of the crime. Mm-hmm. To implicate someone else, because she hears on the news that new DNA evidence has been found where Jesse was found. Mm-hmm. So she sets up her boss, played by Marino.
Correct.
Wow, I can't believe I remembered that.
Me either, but good job.
So at the end of the movie, she is like at Ken Marino's house planting evidence, and he pops up. And she chose him because we see her doing a bunch of research on him, her boss, Ken, and he's like a weirdo.
He has a tumultuous background. Apparently, he has a vendetta against animals.
Yeah. So while she's planting evidence, he catches her and is attacking her when all of a sudden the sheriff, played by Jim Gaffigan, shows up, because we find out that he suspected Susie as well. So he's been following her. But now that he sees that this guy's trying to kill her and they find the evidence she planted, they realize that Ken's character is responsible, Susie's clear, and the final scene of the film is Susie and Jesse are doing like this major interview with like a talk show host, and she answers a question using a quote, like a very specific quote that she told Jesse while she had him when she kidnapped him. Mm-hmm. So we see that Jesse realizes Susie was his kidnapper.
And that's the final shot of the film while they're on a talk show hosted by Moffat from SNL. But just as he asked her to repeat the phrase, as she repeats it, she realizes
she's caught up.
She has been caught up, yeah. So that I like that a lot.
Okay, the cast is very impressive.
It is. You want to talk about the cast first?
No, you do.
Oh, I was going to say, to me, when it started, I thought this could be something really interesting, like a mix of mystery team with this incredibly interesting Kim Stanley movie called Seance on a Wet Afternoon, where she plays a psychic who wants to be taken seriously, so she kidnaps a little girl with her husband so that she can psychically find out where the girl is.
Oh, Yeah, see,
Excellent. And of course, like this is much in keeping with other notable films throughout history, such as Ace in the Hole with Kirk Douglas or Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, where they create their own mechanism to make them famous in whatever endeavors they're going after. But yeah, as you were saying, though, the cast is really impressive, some of whom don't have much to do.
so the one lady we know from Bottoms and Shiva Baby.
Oh yeah, Rachel Sennott. Wow, her and Io Edebiri have great agents.
Yeah, I know her as an actor, and I like her. Jim Gaffigan, who I know doesn't always want to be comedic in his acting roles. Alex Wolff, who I do like. I don't know. I was expecting this to be much more dark and much more funny.
Jared Gilman from Moonrise Kingdom has a small role as one of...
Oh, my doppelganger, Geoffrey Owens.
Geoffrey Owens. He's the president of the university. And then I was kind of flabbergasted at Dolly Wells, who shows up as a professor that really, really has nothing to do.
I don't mind the story. Like telling the basic story, it does sound interesting. And I don't mind that we know Susie's the one responsible early on. I just really expected this to be a lot more subversive. Also, her motivation for doing it is not made clear. We can assume that she just wants attention because she does. Oh, we didn't mention that her mom is bedridden because she has MS. So we hear Susie tell her mom, oh, once my podcast becomes popular, I'll make enough money that I can buy you a house. Then at one point after Jesse is found and they're on their way to do a televised interview, Susie gets excited like, oh, well, maybe this will lead to us being interviewed by that guy you mentioned at the end. So I guess I expected this to be like she's a little more sinister, but the film makes her seem kind of like a sweet girl who just happened to kidnap someone and happened to kill someone and happened to set someone else up for murder. But
which is funny, but there is a subversive, there's a dark side to Susie that we don't really tap into. That's
No.
probably not, you could get into some sociopathic tendencies like Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes in Misery.
it would have been funnier if she was super saccharine and super sweet, but she's not. She just seems like an awkward girl. I mean, I wouldn't even think she's in college because she has braces and her hair's a wreck. But it just didn't go where I thought it would.
Who's also developing a crush on Jesse as well, which further complicates, her relationship to him, because we also keep seeing she has flashback. He'll do something with his hands and she'll have a flashback. It's like, oh, when she had him kidnapped and she's trying to feed him. I mean, there's inescapable trauma for both of them that really that's what's most intriguing to me in this
I do like the way the film looks, and there's some interesting editing choices. But just to quickly go through my notes, when Susie finds Alex Wolff's character, the way he's crying, I thought was funny. Because his YouTube persona is that he's about like meditation.
He's very zen.
Very
yeah.
chill. But it's very clear that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And his videos are like so ridiculously basic to have millions and millions of views.
Isn't that how it goes, though? I don't know.
And the fact that he's gay is a secret.
Yes, and Isaac Powell plays the secret boyfriend. There's some things that don't quite make sense about that to me, because Ray does suspect Susie, but has somehow never told Jesse about that.
Yeah, why wouldn't he warn his boyfriend that he's scared Susie might be responsible?
We get the sense that he has Jesse's welfare in mind in his confrontations with Susie, but I think I would still, I have told my significant other that I think this is the main suspect here. Also, how he falls out the window, I thought was kind of funny, because he slips on some books that he has scattered throughout the her room looking for evidence. It reminded me of the opening scene in Above the Rim.
Oh. Jim Gaffigan is the sheriff. He doesn't like Susie. He thinks she's kind of annoying because she really is like she's really into crime, so she keeps trying to like meddle in police business. But once Jesse's discovered and everyone knows Susie's the one who found him, when Jim Gaffigan's character gives like the press conference, he like refuses to mention her, and then there's a reporter in the audience kind of like shading him.
Like, we know her name.
Yeah, that I did think was funny. Oh my gosh. So Geoffrey Owens as the principal, he calls her out of class. This school feels more like a high school to me. But he calls her out of class. I'm calling him the principal. He's like the president of the school. to do an impromptu like live news interview, I would have been so pissed. I'm not camera ready. Like I need a breath mint. I need to do my hair. What is happening right now?
Well, also Dolly Wells shows up to get her, and she's like, "No, I'd rather be here." It's like, I just asked you to come with me, lady. Like what?
Something that did confuse me is the way Alex Wolff's characters. He has like millions and millions of followers on social media. He's already kind of famous, and he should be making. If he has 6 million followers on YouTube, he'd be making money. Because these videos he's making are not like, I mean, they're just him outside, so he would be making a lot of money. But anyway, he doesn't seem like he makes a lot of money or he's popular. And I thought that was confusing.
For the amount of tension that his disappearance and recuperation would receive. There's one funny moment where we see a video where he's reading a poem he wrote, and some Canadian geese are in the background, adding texture.
The college president tells Susie, don't forget to mention on the news that our school is number 12 for pre-med students in Ohio. I thought that was funny.
There are some really nice details. Like after she blows up her comment section on her podcast, she's seeing all kinds of things, and somebody calls her, "You go, Gerlach Holmes."
Yeah. There are a lot of nice little details. So I'm so stupid because there is a moment when I should have foreshadowed that the sheriff thought Susie was responsible, because he's talking to her and telling her like, you know, I appreciate your skills and like I do want you to help. And then he says that she reminds him of a New Zealand bird called the Kia, because that bird is known to be mischievous.
Mm-hmm. Like smarter than everybody, but maybe with too much spare time on their hands. So they
it did make me think, oh, he's clocking her, but I didn't sort of think that he actually thought she could be responsible. That kind of felt like a leap. Like, what did she do that makes them think that she would have kidnapped Jesse?
Because Jesse's uncle, the one that it's almost like his family is this hammer empire. Like there's this weird black sheep uncle that's disappeared. Nobody knows where he is, and has also a sketchy history. Suddenly does pop up. Has been in Peru, so has an alibi, and then of course that's when Susie's world starts to unravel a little bit.
After Ray gets killed, Susie like disposes of the body and then cleans up the scene, and we see her doing stuff to make sure like the blood splatter chemical won't pick up anything. I thought that vibe is more of what I wanted, showing how cunning and insidious she can be. Mm-hmm. Because again, she just kind of seems like a regular. I didn't get the sense that she's like a evil person. No,
or even an inherently sad, or like we keep being told she's lonely, but I'm not sure to quite what extent. I was appreciative of, we get a snip of Mitski's Washing Machine Heart, which is a song I really like. And just because I like that artist, this is the second Kiersey Clemons film I've seen featuring Mitski, which was also, I think Heartbeats Loud has Mitski on the soundtrack. But
another good moment is when Susie realizes she wants to set up her boss. She needs some DNA from him. So Ken Marino's character has this awful rat tail that she clips hair from. I thought that was funny. But even more funny is she needs to get into the evidence room at the police department. Mm-hmm. So the actor
David Walton, one of the deputies,
who I liked, he is like working the night shift, and she needs to like preoccupy him. So she knows that he's trying to like bulk up, like get muscle, so she brings him like a weight gain shake, but she filled it with like fast acting laxatives. Mm-hmm. So, and then he's being kind of like pompous, like, because she tells him, I was told you need to drink it very slowly
because it'll upset your stomach, and he's the type of man that can't be challenged.
Right. So he immediately takes off the lid and goes, no, I can do this, no problem, and he downs it, and then immediately has to go to the bathroom. That was also more of what I think I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's very amusing. I just think that it would have benefited from being even more kind of subversive than it is. And there are other areas it could have gone into about Susie and her background and her character and her relationship with her mother, because we only get her in the montage in the beginning.
Yeah, it's doing a lot. But it is enjoyable. I would watch this person's next film.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
What would you give it?
3.
I would give it 3 out of 5 as well. Hit the thanks button, listen to our podcast. Bye.